Hello everybody and welcome to today's episode of Learn This Deck with the Dreaming Way Tarot. And the cards we're going to look at today are the sevens from the Minor Arcana. So before we begin, let's just take a quick look at what the deck creator talks about in the numerology section of the LWB, especially about the number 7. Now 7, he says, is about illusion, right? It is about illusion and deceit, fantasy and daydreams. It's like chasing the pot at the end of the rainbow. You don't see the truth. So it typically, if you go, if you Google this and you say 7 numerology or something, you see a whole lot of stuff coming up about the 7, which links it to, all sorts of things. We have the 7 colors in the rainbow, the 7 days of the week, there's a very mystical number, there's that. It's very intense, but here the deck creator says 7 is all about creating some illusory situation like a fantasy or a daydream, and it just basically deceptively sort of drives you away from the truth. So that is a very interesting interpretation to come across. And so what I'm going to do now is going to go through all the 4 cards and we'll see how he's explored that theme and how it's going to start coming across through the images of the 4 sevens of the Minor Arcana, right? So let's begin with the wands, and here we have the 7 of wands. Now this is again a very typical image of the 7 of wands. We've got one guy standing there with one wand in his hand. It looks like he's defending himself or fighting off the 6 wands that are coming at him, and he doesn't look really in a happy place. And of course, in this picture, we also see some really beautiful flowers there in the background, orange colored flowers. Although the LWB does not mention what specifically those flowers, stand for. So I'm just going to go with, they're just beautiful orange flowers. And then, this is again a very, I would say, very typical, very standard sort of, depiction of the 7 of wands that you will see. So what were the meanings? What were the keywords? Upright, it looks like he is fending off an attack. It could also mean that he's feeling positive and he's like, yeah, I can take this on. I can take on this world. I can handle this. I can absolutely, I can do this. And then of course this can also talk about multitasking, where each of those 6 wands talks about each of the 6 different things that he's putting his passion or he's putting his energy into. And then of course we have him standing there with the 7th wand, which is like his personal energy, his personal sort of thing. And then he's like, okay, now I'm gonna handle this. I have 6 things to do and I will totally do it. So that is multitasking sort of thing that he's going and doing. So now what happens when this guy becomes reversed? All of those wands are going to come at him and he's not going to be able to take care of it. He's not be able to stand his ground there and handle it. So in the reverse, this card says that he is unable to fend off the attack. So if you see those 6 wands as projects, then it's a different thing. But if you see them as 6 different things coming at him, then that's the attack we're talking about, and he's now not able to fend it off. He also feels like he wants to give up, or that he's unable to handle all those many things at once. So he's not able to multitask. Now bring that back to the whole illusion scenario, and we can see that him feeling that he can take on all of this and he can totally handle all of this, maybe that could be the illusion that the number 7 sort of alludes to in this picture, because we're talking illusion, we're talking the fire energy and putting it all together, and that's the imagination or daydream that he has, that I can totally do this. So it could be that's how this energy is expressed in this image. So what was the card story all about? I got into his head, of course, and this is what came. This is my territory and guarding it is my responsibility, my task. And I have full confidence in my abilities. I will be more than sufficient to take on this task. If ever anyone decides to come at me, I'm prepared for it. I'm proud of myself and my ability to multitask like this. It is a good feeling. So that again, this is the whole seven energy expressing itself. I think I can do this. I know I can do this. Probably has never done this before. He probably never handled so many things at once before, but he has confidence that he will do it. And that could very well be an illusion, but sometimes you've got to do it to know it, right? Sometimes you've got to just jump right into it to find out what you're capable of. That's probably what he's doing. He's testing his boundaries there, right? Okay, so that's the whole Wands energy. Let's see what happens with the Swords energy. Ooh. And I always have had this very intense sort of fascination with the Seven of Swords card, because traditionally this card, is referred to as the cheetah card. It's everywhere you look, Seven of Swords, like he's the cheetah card. Yeah, sure, but every time, but different times that I have meditated on the image or I have looked at the image, I've found all kinds of interesting energies. And well, since I'm studying the Lenormand these days, I find that there is a lot of interesting. I wouldn't say the symbolism is present or common in both of them, but there's a fox card in the Lenormand deck where I feel that the energy is very interestingly expressed a similar way with the Seven of Swords. It's very crafty, it's very sneaky, in a very subtle and smart way, but at the same time the fox is also the entrepreneur card, and that is also the feeling the Seven of Swords always has given to me, at least in the traditional card. But when I looked at this image, right, this is one of the cards I look at every time I'm thinking of buying a deck, like what is the Seven of Swords card looking like? What is it talking about? And here we see a young man. He is rushing towards that house in this snowy sort of landscape there. And he's rushing there with all those swords in his hand, and like two of them have fallen from his hand, but he doesn't look like he's going to stop and pick it up. He is in some sort of mad rush to go right there and do something. Now, swords are very well, we know they are our thoughts, they are the truths that sort of cut through and show the reality. So it could be that, symbolically this card is saying that this guy has some answers, or he has some clues, or he has some information, and he is now he's rushing there someplace to resolve something or to take care of something. Now, again, if you want to bring it back to the whole cheater card meaning, it this sort of energy can be expressed in various ways and different situations. So in a spread, I suppose you have to look at the cards surrounding this one, or what position this card lands in that spread, to sort of get more information about this. But this card evokes a whole lot of fascinating storytelling scenarios here for me anyhow. So the upright meaning here was he's either escaping something or he's rushing into something, right? He's got all kinds of tricky solutions, and he's definitely taking charge of the situation in this way, like very sneakily, but he's getting there, and he's gonna do something awesome and just shake things up. That's the feeling you get when when you look at this card, isn't it? So what happens when this guy becomes reversed? Check it out. Sorry, excuse me. Looks like all of those swords are gonna fall out of his hands now, and he's rushing in, but it looks maybe like he doesn't have a plan, he doesn't have an answer, or as the keywords that I wrote before are saying, either he's unable to escape or rush in, or he has some really straightforward solutions, where previously in the upright he had some really tricky solutions. Now the solutions he offers are pretty straight up, straightforward, there's no tricks involved, or that he's unable or unwilling to take charge. Now that I look at it, while I'm making this video, we could also say that, he's not able to resolve anything. That could also be one of the key phrases over here, that he suddenly finds himself unable, or totally he just loses track of all the clues because all those swords are going to fall out of his hand and he's just not able to resolve anything. That could also be one of those meanings that you could add in to this list. Okay, this is one very, very interesting card. So as I got into the head of this guy to write the card story, this is what came. No matter how you look at it, I'm the only one who can resolve this issue. I have both the skills and the resources to do this. The moment I came to know about this, I couldn't help myself. I'm running to take charge and find a solution. It's only with my tricky wit that this problem can be solved. So, really, to be honest, nobody knows what's going on in that house, but this guy, at least, because the card image isn't sort of shedding any light into what's going on in that house, but this guy knows it and he's running there to resolve it, and he's got that tricky wit, right? It's totally the fox card from the Lenormand right here, I think. And he's rushing in and he's just gonna do his thing and fix it. So that was the Seven of Swords. It's a very, very interesting card, whichever way you look at it. Okay. So now let's look at the cups energy, the whole feelings, water kind of energy, and see how that 7 energy is represented here. And oh my god, look at this. We've got 7 cups. And in each cup there's something. There's a house, there's a crown, there's angel wings, there's feelings, there's a beautiful girl, there's wealth, and then there's a snake. Now the snake represents all kinds of things. It could represent ancient wisdom, longevity, looking young all throughout. Many things. The snake is a multiply twisted, like itself. It's a twisted representation of so many things across the ages. The snake has gotten positive and negative sort of connotations stuck onto it, but just like the snake sheds his skin, I guess none of them stick to him anyhow. That's the feeling. I'm like, the snake doesn't care what symbolism you accord to it. It just goes about its own way, doing its own thing. Anyway, but here we have 7 cups filled with 7 different things that could be your hopes, your dreams, your desires, your wishes. And this symbolism is again very, very typical across the traditional sort of Rider-Waite, Universal-Weight imagery of the 7 of Cups. And this again, I think, represents that whole dream, fantasy, illusion energy of the number 7 in a very, very beautiful way. This one is about wishes, dreams, hopes, desires, ambitions. It could also be your imagination or your daydream. This could also show your options or choices. And then, of course, ultimately, this is all about difficulty making choices when there are too many options. Because, let's say these are all his ambitions. He wants to go and he wants to achieve everything, but he can't do it all at once. He has to choose one at a time. And this logic can apply to all of these, wishes, dreams, hopes, desires, ambitions, imaginations, daydream. He's like, there's so many things. What should I choose now, right? That's the energy of the 7 of Cups. But now you take this card and you reverse it, and everything is gonna fall down. It all falls down. Crash, right? So you could say it means, oh, he's, choosing. He's actually choosing. He's making a choice, like, forget all the 7 different things. I'm choosing one of them. Or he goes after his dreams and hopes. He's not just sitting there and daydreaming and saying, oh, I would love to live like this. I would love a life like that. No, he doesn't sit there and just daydream. He gets up and goes after it. He or she. Following through on ambitions. And this again is very interesting. A realistic, practical point of view. So instead of just sitting there and, thinking and wishing and visualizing, which is a very useful thing though, but after visualizing, you have to actually get up and do something, and that is the realistic, practical sort of approach. So in the reverse, this card becomes a little bit more less illusion-ish and more practical-ish. So that is something. Both ways, this card is interesting in terms of reading. Okay. So what was the card story? I have so many dreams. Every single day I sit and dream about all the things I've wanted to have in my life, about all the things I've wanted to achieve in my life. And then I begin to wonder if I can really ever make it come true. All of my fears and all of my hopes scramble together in my imagination, and I'm left powerless and unable to move. What should I do? So I think the moment I got into this card, I was like feeling so helpless. I know what I want, these are the things I want, and I know how to probably go about getting it and how to achieve it. But I'm so scared, and I have so many wishes, and I've got all these dreams, and I'm still so scared. And that feeling, it kind of leaves you feeling immobile, like you don't have the ability at the end, you're powerless. So she's like, what do I do? So that was the energy of the Seven of Cups. Okay, so now that we've seen the passionate energy of wands and the very logical, witty, and a tricky energy of the swords, and the very feelings, emotions based energy of the cups, let's all put it together in a very practical and very, very real, tangible energy of the pentacles. So how does 7 manifest here? Check it out. We've got a young girl, and she's holding all these little bags. Looks like she's going to the market. There's one coin sort of floating in the air, around her head. So maybe she's thinking about money. There's money always sort of, in the environment of the thoughts and feelings. And then we have the city sort of background behind her, and she's off to the market. Now, when we see this picture, the moment I saw this, the feeling was, oh my God, budgets, shopping lists, and budgets, right? So you have a limited income. Everybody has a limited sort of income. But then, this is something this was one of the phrases in my economics textbook for all of those years ago that kind of made me fall in love with economics. So something, it went like this, that there are unlimited wants and desires in this world, but the resources are always limited. So, and that kind of sums everything up, right? Most everything that we do in our lives is about finding the best way to use those limited resources to fulfill our unlimited desires. And so that's why we have budgets, and we have to-do lists, and we have productivity things, and we have all sorts of crazy stuff going on, because every human being, I guess, is playing his or her role in that little story of unlimited desires and limited resources. So that is your 7 of Pentacles, and ultimately the whole 7 thing says, hey, it's a dream, it's an illusion, it's a fantasy. So she's standing there, and she's trying to figure out how to make the best use of available resources, right? She's headed to the market. She wants to buy her groceries and stuff, and she's like, okay, I have only so much money, and I need to put aside so much money for this, that, and the other, and so I've got only so much budgeted for my groceries, so let's go, right? She's being very pragmatic and very thrifty, and she's thinking before acting. So that is even look at the very stern, sort of very serious expression on her face, and you kind of get it, like, this girl means business. So what happens though when you take this card and you reverse it? Ouch, right? She's either unable or unwilling to make the best use of resources. She's like, damn it, I don't care about the budget, I'm just going shopping because I'm upset, maybe. She's not being thrifty, and she's taking all kinds of rash actions, especially with her money, especially with her resources, especially with her finances. So it's not a pretty card to be in the reverse here, because something else is going on. Maybe the surrounding cards in the spread would shed light on this. Something else is going on which is making you totally lose your sort of balance there, and you're grounding there, and you're like, I don't care about the budget, I'm going shopping. So that's your Seven of Pentacles reversed. So, what was the card story like? Money and resources have always been tight. I have to plan and budget and think about every small and large thing every time I head out to the market. However, I'm not going to let that get me down. I'm smart and I know how to make a dollar stretch, and I'm so going to use my abilities to achieve my goals. So this is one smart girl. She won't let anything get her down. She won't let this situation get her down, because she knows that's how it is. That's how life is. You gotta always, like my economics textbook said, life is about, there are unlimited wants and desires and limited resources, and economics, I guess, is about how to find a way to use those limited resources to fulfill those unlimited uh, wishes, dreams, and wants and desires. So that is pretty much it. This card has given me flashbacks of my college days, when I used to actually sit down with my economics textbook and dive in a fascinated sort of way, which not many people really understood back then. I guess nobody probably will even today. But I think that one statement would change my life and my perspective about things is it kind of stretches over all domains in life. Everything. I think is that sentence is the explanation of everything. So that's my, I'm gonna stick with that. So anyhow, so this was your Seven of Pentacles. So what was your journal entry like? What was your take on all these sevens in the minor arcana? Take a picture and post it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you like. Use the hashtag learn this deck, or you could even add in the hashtag for sevens, minor arcana, dreaming way tarot, and share your thoughts and your take on it, so we can all get together online like this and totally learn this deck. All right, I will be back again tomorrow with the eights, but in the meantime, stay good, be good, and learn this deck. Bye now.